Hyundai dealers in select markets.
I don't feel so good.
You do feel hot. Dayquil Kids will take care of that fever.
What about my cough?
Dayquil Kids has that covered.
Will it make my throat feel better?
Yes, that too.
But will it taste good?
Yep, Dayquil Kids comes in your favorite flavor.
Purple?
Well, yes, it's grape.
Try new Dayquil Kids Plus Fever, the daytime coughing, aching, sore throat fever just for kids medicine. Safe for kids 6+. Use as directed.
97.5 and 1240 KFH.
When you buy a new house, you might say,
"Shut the front door."
"Winning!"
No, seriously, shut the front door. We own this house now.
But you actually need to say,
"Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there."
That's right. The local State Farm agent is there to help you choose the coverage you need.
Welcome to my crib. No one says that anymore, but I don't care.
So just remember, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
State Farm, Bloomington, Illinois.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, because you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Welcome to TGL, presented by SoFi, golf's newest league, live on ESPN and ESPN Plus. It's 2 hours of hammer dropping, overtime forcing, playoffs on the line, golf, Tiger, Rory, and more of the best from the PGA Tour, split into 6 teams. Learn more at TGLGolf.com. Tune in every week for TGL matches. Keep up, it's golf.
Lowe's knows how to help make your Super Bowl 59 party a touchdown. Let us help you prep your home to host with top brands like Charbroil, Blackstone, and LG, so you can be the MVP of game day. Plus, use the Lowe's app to find what you need for a seamless shopping run. Or huddle up with our Lowe's Red Vest associates to help make all your game time hosting decisions.
It's football season, and now you can get anything you need for game day delivered with Uber Eats. Well, almost anything. You can't get a running back, but baby back ribs? Yes. Uber Eats, official on-demand food delivery partner of the NFL.
See why hand-battered is better with a Long John Silver's $6 chicken basket. 100% white meat chicken is always just a batter dip away from becoming its own golden treasure. Make the Long John Silver's app your first mate and order ahead to skip the wait. Long John Silver's. Fish, yeah. Pricing and participation may vary.
Shocker Basketball has introduced new mini plans for American Athletic Conference play. Browse options at GoShockers.com/tickets.
The KFH Studios, powered by Devon James Injury Lawyers. Call 888-8888.
That's 888-8888.
Traffic update here on your Monday morning commute on ML King Day. It is a federal holiday, so traffic volumes are pretty light this morning. Everything going all right on a cold Monday morning in Wichita. Traffic update from 98.7 and 1330 KNSS. I'm Ted Woodward.
Weather.
Starting off here, 10 degrees in Wichita this morning with mostly cloudy skies, and it's going to stay cold all day long. High temperature today, 20 degrees, and we'll also have areas of light snow showers moving through, particularly through the late morning into the early afternoon. This is going to be a light, powdery, dry snow, but we could wind up with a trace to an inch in the Wichita metro with higher accumulations found a little farther to the south and west. And tonight, as we clear our skies out, temperatures are going to fall way down into the negatives, a low of -2 degrees in Wichita coming up for tomorrow morning. With your KSN Storm Track 3 forecast, I'm meteorologist Jack Maney.
If you missed Bob and Jeff, you missed this.
Jeff's favorite guest.
Future Bob?
I'm older than you, Bob, believe it or not.
Yes, you're future Bob. We know.
We know that. And have we ever met?
No, not that I know of.
I'd like future Bob.
Would you like to meet Jeff?
Nah, not necessarily. Take her easy.
All right. Oh, that was beautiful.
Stop it.
Oh, you know it was.
Bob and Jeff, afternoons at 5 on KFH. Kansas Fan Headquarters, 97.5 and 1240 KFH Wichita, KNSS HD2 Clearwater, and Odyssey Sports Station.
Hey Wichita, it's Jacob Albright. Stay right there for the latest breaking in sports talk. It's Sports Daily coming up next exclusively on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
I'm Jim Rome with the Rome Report, and we have an amazing weekend of ball with the NFL divisional round. I've got to start with the double champs. Kansas City looking to do what no other team's ever done before, go back to back to back. Is it just me, or does it feel like these guys have not played in a month? And given how good Andy Reid is when he has 2 weeks to get ready, and how good Patrick Mahomes is coming off a bye in the playoffs, that's not good news for the Texans. Then again, he hasn't thrown a pass since Christmas. So for my man Nick Caserio and the Texans to have a chance against the Chiefs on the road in frigid Arrowhead, they need to come out and punch them in the mouth from the jump. They've got to hope that Joe Mixon can go and that Chris Jones does not kill C.J. Stroud. And that the Texans studs, Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter, can be disruptive. The Chiefs officially begin pursuit of their historic three-peat, and we have ourselves an historic divisional round. Let's go. I'm Jim Rome.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at tryethos.com. That's tryethos.com.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes at Homes for Our Troops. And thanks to our donors and supporters, this life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans. But we need you to join us too in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH. This is Sports Daily with Jacob Albrecht and Tommy Kester.
Hey, welcome in, everybody. Happy Monday to you. Reaction Monday. Big day in this nation's history, TJ, because the Chiefs are going back to the AFC Championship for the 7th straight time, and a few other things happening. Martin Luther King Day out there. For those not working today, it is a federal holiday. We're glad you're here with us. It's an inauguration day, and it's a Reaction Monday because we had a massive sports weekend that we need to take you back through. TJ Cleland's in for Tommy. I'm Jacob Albrecht. We've got you this morning, and we've got you for a couple hours here, and we're excited to have you. Man, what a weekend. The NFL divisional round never disappoints, it doesn't feel like, and it was fantastic again. 4 good games over the weekend. We had big college basketball played over the weekend. Well, emotionally big, we'll call it. All kinds of things to get to. We got the voice of the Wildcats, Wyatt Thompson, joining us on the show today. We've got a Royals insider, Jaylon Thompson, joining us on the program today as well. Continue to get primed up and follow some of the minor moves the Royals are making, so we'll check in there. And then, of course, a lot of other things, probably mostly football, a national championship game tonight. And we're happy to be here with you. Our thanks to Prairie Fire Coffee for keeping us fueled up each and every morning here on KFH. TJ, late night for you with your TV duties and an early morning. How are you this morning? How you feeling this morning, TJ?
Yeah, we're doing good. It was a late night last night. Had the Sports Sunday going. Got home at about 11 o'clock after watching a day full of football. Sorry, we got a bad delay going on here. It sounds like we'll get this figured out, but I got a lot to talk about. Yeah,
we will. Work. Bear with us through that. We've got it's a holiday here at KFH as well, so we got a little skeleton crew rolling through. But it's going to be a good morning. So what do we have here? We've got the Chiefs back in the AFC Championship game. The Chiefs, the closest we've seen since the Dallas Cowboys in the mid-'90s to a three-peat. The Cowboys lost that NFC Championship game. Devastating for a kid like me in the state of Texas to deal with. And then, of course, they won the 3rd out of 4. We've seen 3 out of 4 from the Patriots. We have not seen 3 in a row. And we haven't been this close to 3 in a row in a very, very long time. The Cowboys got it again to the championship game. The Patriots got one to the divisional round. Both of them fell, and now the Chiefs take aim at trying to do what no team's ever done. We'll see if they can do it. They've got the Buffalo Bills who survived it. How about this for a wild and crazy stat? All 4 teams in the 4 games this weekend, all 4 teams that led the games in total yards lost. All of them also lost the turnover battle, which was critical in those losses, TJ. But a wild weekend, protecting the ball on full display. And these are the 4 teams we have. We have the Texans and the Chiefs. We have the Commanders and the Eagles in a pretty good-looking conference championship weekend incoming.
Yeah, everything starts to turn to who you're going to see in the Super Bowl, and looking at the matchups that you could get there. You start to match up and pair who you could get against each other, and everything's going to be a fun storyline. I think that if you get the Chiefs in there, you get the three-peat. If you get the Chiefs Eagles, you get a rematch. If you get the Commanders in there, just that by itself is unreal. It'd be an awesome story. I would love Chiefs Commanders, but tall task to beat those Eagles. So you talked about that stat, and even just watching that Chiefs game, just bringing it down to one game, you think about that third quarter, the Texans held the ball for over 10 minutes on one single drive, and the Chiefs still somehow found a way. I think they scored within about 3 minutes after the 10-minute drive. So just when it gets to this point, just playing your brand of football and not making mistakes is what the Chiefs do so well, and it's carried them through all these wins so far.
Yeah, I mean, the Texans didn't just outgain the Chiefs. The Texans outgained the Chiefs by a lot, but it's because they had the ball a lot, right? The Chiefs were very efficient. Travis Kelce, as predicted here, is off to a massive start in the postseason. I think that continues, and if it doesn't, it means teams hone in on him, and then the receivers are going to be – the Chiefs have never been this healthy this year, and it showed in that game. Some mistakes by Houston. Let's be fair, some bad calls on roughing the passers didn't make it any easier on the Texans. There's always bad calls. I hate that because we saw some in the game. We saw some basically in every game this weekend. They missed a roughing on Jared Goff that was pretty impactful in the Commanders game. We've got to get to the point as quickly as they have what they call replay assist now. Like, it would be real quick because the broadcasts have it instantly. With every one of them has basically a ref in the booth who can say good call, bad call. Just have that so we don't have to do this I hate that. And it's been, God, how many times this year just on face mask penalties have we seen terrible calls that help decide outcomes of games? Now, call individually never decides the outcome of a game, but it sure contributes, and that's tough. And that's a tough, pill to swallow for a lot of teams when the calls don't go your way and they don't go everybody's way. And of course, that gets magnified for the Chiefs because they've won all these games and everybody likes to make their jokes. It's not why the Texans lost. Texans lost because they turned the ball over and they had a couple of really, I think, poor coaching decisions in the game. But the Chiefs did what they needed to do in their defense, and we're going to get a whole lot into this as we make our way through. Just a quick bird's eye view. The Chiefs defense, TJ, was absolutely disruptive late in that game, and if that can continue, they're going to be a problem for everybody here in the postseason.
Yeah. Absolutely. Just to bring back to your point you were making, Tommy texted me after the Mahomes slide roughing the passer call and said, have fun talking to Jacob on Monday morning. That's going to be the first thing that he brings up probably. So
who said that?
Tommy did. Tommy texted me. Yeah. So I was prepared for it. But I agree with you. It's such a finite line, though, with roughing the passer. I agree with, the face mask calls, because if it's a face mask, it's a face mask.
Yeah, face mask is a face mask. Yeah.
Very definitive definition of that. The thing with roughing the passer, though, is that he led with the crown of the helmet, but he didn't hit him in the head. So he was on his way down, but he wasn't down. So that's the only thing that makes those calls so hard. It makes it call hard on the field. And even a guy in the booth, I think that some of them are going to be obvious. Some of them are going to be like, oh, that's, it's going to be a 50-50 ball. And then it's just your definition versus mine.
Right.
So,
if the booth guy, and look, this is just we're going bird's eye on the whole weekend. These calls had a lot that, my point on all of it is it sucks that we even have to talk about it. You should just be able to just look at it. That Goff play. I mean, that Goff play was bad. That's a bad miss. The phantom face masks have been the ones, I think, this season. But it's all a part of it, and you've got to be able to withstand that stuff. And that's, quite frankly, why the Chiefs are so equipped to do this. Like, those little things within a game of the teams remaining, you want to talk about the team that's most poised to not let anything like that affect them. It's the team that's been there so often. And I just like if Kelsey finds this left in the tank, if the pass rush can be that disruptive in the postseason, they're going to be really hard to beat unless they turn the ball over. And they haven't done that in a really, really long time. Like, that hasn't been something this team's done since the very early parts of this season. They're dangerous, man. Like, they're as dangerous as they've ever looked in any postseason in this run because they're finally healthy. Like, how many teams get to this point of the season and can say, yep, we're the healthiest we've been all year? Like, that doesn't happen. But that's what's happened for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I had a stat last night on Sports Sunday. I was just previewing the Bills-Chiefs game and thinking back to when they played last. It was when Mahomes was throwing a lot of interceptions. He threw 2 in that game. Hasn't thrown a single one since they played the Bills last.
Wild stuff. We're going to get to all the football. We're going to get to college basketball next when we return. Some big games there as well. Don't go anywhere. It's Albrocht. It's Cleveland. It's a Monday, a big reaction Monday. We're coming right back.
"66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust." Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood, written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
What is GMFB Overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of... Oh! It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
831001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you
and inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issue a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
All right, welcome back in, everybody. It is Sports Daily. Jacob Albrock, TJ Cleveland in for you on this Monday, joined by voice of the Wildcats, Wyatt Thompson. The Cats fall in the Sunflower Showdown this weekend. Wyatt, welcome in. They fall, but you know what? They made a game out of a game that looked like it might not be a game pretty much right out of the gates. Do you think there's anything positive to take away from something like that for a team that struggled as much as the Wildcats have this year?
Well, I think there are some positives you can take from it. But at the end of the day, 1, it's a loss. 2, to your rival. 3, 14-0 and 20-4 hole. It's just so difficult to overcome that anywhere, anytime, especially against that team. I would say the positives for me would be a little bit along these lines. TJ, good to see you, by the way. Good to be on with you. I thought, you tell me if you disagree with this, and it's okay if you do, but I thought it was overall Coleman Hawkins' best game of the year. I thought he played with poise, with toughness. He was aggressive. He didn't take – I thought he took good shots. He had 18 and 10 assists, was really aggressive. I think the second guy that really stood out for me, and I was so happy to see it, was David Castillo. He had really played minimal minutes, really kind of had struggled and gotten to what I hope is a low point with shooting the ball. And I've said to you before, the kid is a really good shooter and a really good player. We just have not seen it translate from the practice floor to the game floor. And I thought he was okay. And if I'm being honest, I thought Ugo was pretty good too. I thought those 3 things stood out to me, even in another loss.
Yeah, Wyatt, they were talking after the game in the press conference, and I agree with everything you just said. I think that was probably, outside of the first 4 minutes, probably the best that K-State's played this year, and they lost because they gave up 14 points in the first 4 minutes of the game. Even with the moral victory, whatever you want to call it, you lose 8 of your last 9, I think now, a group of college kids, that's going to start weighing on them. How can that affect the basketball team?
Well, you hope it is something that they recognize and notice and take it moving forward. I know Coleman was asked a lot in the press conference about this and that, and, if he regrets his decision to come to K-State and all of those kind of things. And, when you're struggling like this, you're going to get those types of questions. But I think I would tell you, and I would have probably said this honestly before the ball game, I just felt different going into this game in terms of the preparation and the work that those guys put in, the determination to get better. And hopefully what they did, even though they were down 14-0 and 20-4 and lost the game, that they can take that to the practice floor and get ready to go. Because as we all know, we leave tomorrow afternoon for Waco and play Baylor Wednesday night, come home, play West Virginia on Saturday, and the grind continues.
Who just beat Iowa State, by the way.
Exactly.
Wyatt, you got to look at KU. We'll have you, flip around the chair a little bit. KU is trying to hang in there. And, we look at them this year with a special interest in Wichita. We'd like for them to play here when the NCAA tournament comes here, which means they're going to need to be right there at the top of the Big 12. From what you saw Saturday, are the Jayhawks poised for that kind of year, do you think, as good as the Big 12 looks at the top?
I don't know that it's a given right now, to be honest, but I do think the possibility is there. And I don't think what I'm about to say will surprise anybody. They have the coaching to do it. That's probably where it starts first and foremost. If you really look at it, the guys that really perform, now keep in mind, KU played Saturday without KJ Adams too. And I know he hasn't been playing like he has in the past, but he's still a big piece. But Hunter Dickinson was Hunter Dickinson after not being himself in the game at Ames. Part of that was Iowa State. I get it. I've always been a guy who appreciates DeJuan Harris for how hard he plays and the job that he does. I thought he was more aggressive trying to score Saturday. And frankly, I think he needs to do that moving forward. And I do like, some of their other pieces. Budunga, I think, has a chance to be a really, really fine player. Can he give them enough, over the next, what have we got, a couple of months to get to that point where you're talking about where they can come to Wichita? We'll see. But they'll have an opportunity, sure.
Why, I more so in the midweek game against Texas Tech. I know that Coach Tang talked a little bit about playing some of the younger guys, everything like that. And that's kind of a statement to be made with the state of college basketball, especially at Kansas State. They've had a new team the past 2 years, basically. Do you see this as kind of like a tide turning thing for the program to try to, maybe develop some of these younger guys, get them to stay on this roster and make that a point of emphasis in the offseason?
Well, it's a really good subject. And I know Coach Tang has talked about it over the last couple of 2 or 3 games. And I would just say this. I think for the guys who have the ability to come back, you hope they do, because I think we are learning that for some, not all, but for some, it's pretty difficult to put, 12, 13 new faces together, have some continuity and what I'll describe as skin in the game. A lot of these kids came here not really knowing anything about K-State. They came here because of Coach Tang. I mean, let's be honest about it. And I think the one thing that's missing in college basketball right now, and probably moving forward, that we may or may not get back, is a guy like Jacob Pullen, who comes in and spends 4 years there, becomes your all-time leading scorer, loves Kansas State, still stays in touch with them. I just don't know if we're dealing with that now. I know I'm rambling a bit on the question, but I do think, as an example, you really want David Castillo to get some minutes this year because he can be back. People are going to question Doug McDaniel. Will he come back? Do they want him back? Those types of things. CJ Jones. I do think they have pieces. It's been hard, I think, molding it and putting it all together and having some consistency. But I don't think they're talent void. But they do need to continue to grow. And I think retention will be pretty big, even if it's just 3 or 4 guys, in my opinion.
And this is, and I'm glad we're here because this is the interesting part of the season. The 2 guys who have been, the biggest contributors this year are really, correct me if I'm wrong, I guess 3 with Max Jones, but like these are the guys that will take them this year as far as they can go, but how far can they go? We're talking about Gasson Hawkins and Max Jones. Everybody else could gain experience in theory and come back. How do you balance it? This team's not going to be an at-large. So outside of the NCAA tournament, like, what are we doing right now, I think becomes the big and interesting question for K-State. Are you trying to win as many games as you can because of the investment into some of these older players that you made? Or are you trying to make sure this doesn't happen again next year? I don't know.
Well, I really appreciate the question because I think it is really kind of where they sit right now, don't you? I mean, let's be honest, that's it. And I think the right answer is probably, let's be selfish a minute and say, I think Coach Tang would like to have both. And I totally respect and understand that. Coleman Hawkins is making a lot of money, and everybody's talked about that ad nauseum, right? But I think you have a guy here that's trying to do what he's being asked to do. He's getting better. I think he's a good teammate, to be honest with you. I really like his personality. He's a high-level personality kid. He'd probably be mad at me calling him a kid because he's a man, but he's a kid to this old guy. But those kind of guys, and I'm a fan of Max Jones too. He just plays, and he's probably not great at anything, but he's pretty good at a lot, right? And that helps. And then you'll miss Gasson. I think the reason that they've even kind of hung together at least a little bit here, you got to give David Gasson some of the credit for that. He's been here 3 years behind the scenes. I think he plays a big role with these guys. And but with all of that said, you want to see continued growth out of those guys. And Castillo's the youngest, so I keep using him as the point here. But these are big games too moving forward. If Doug stays and CJ and Ugo and all of those kind of guys, I just believe that.
The one thing you kind of brought up there is that, and I know we've talked about it before, but whenever you have the pieces that this team has, we've seen a big Coleman Hawkins game, we've seen a big Doug McDaniel game, a big Hawson game. Does it, why doesn't it work together? I know that's every coach in the country wants that answer, but what's your hypothesis on that?
Well, I've said in a lot of interviews, TJ, and I think it's true, and I think they're still trying to fight through this. They go through stretches where there's something that isn't right. One night it might be rebounding. One night it might be points in the paint. One night it might be, and I think this is true to a degree on Saturday. I don't know how you felt about it, but when they got down 14-0 and 20-4, they're taking way too many poor 3-point shots. And you do that on the road in that building against that team, they're going to make you pay. I just think you have to be smarter and tougher and more consistent. And to me, it's as simple as that. I mean, there are a lot of things that they're working on. I know they're, tweaking some things or trying to offensively too. They're probably, in all honesty, just an okay defensive team more times than not. I thought they defended really well in the game against Tech, holding them, a team averaging 85, holding them to 61. So there are capabilities there, but it's doing it over 30, 35, 40 minutes. And that's been really the biggest problematic thing of the whole thing, I believe.
Another tough one on the road, Wyatt. You guys have an 8:00 tip against Baylor. You'll hear it here on KFH. I guess cross your fingers and hope for one of the best offensive games they've had all year. And maybe if they bring it like they did after the opening stretch against Kansas, they can have a shot here.
Well, I would look at it like this, and I would think that this might be Coach Tang's message to these guys. K-State beat them a year ago, right? I think they've won 3 in a row in the series. That probably surprises people to hear that because of what Baylor has been. Now, here's the downside to that. It's a really talented team, and they lost yesterday at home to TCU. So they'll probably be focused and ready to go. They do have really good talent, 2 terrific freshmen, Jeremy Roach, the Duke transfer. So they'll have pieces. But at 11-6, they're probably not what everybody thought they were going to be, at least to this point, but they're certainly capable.
It's always tough in Waco, Wyatt. We look forward to the call tomorrow night. We appreciate it. We'll be back here next week to talk all about it.
You got it. Thanks, fellas. Good talking to you.
There goes Wyatt Thompson, voice of the Wildcats. Glad to have Wyatt in with us on this Monday. Let's just make this a college basketball segment, TJ, as we've got a lot of football to talk about throughout the program. We've got some comments that we'll get to throughout the program. So football fans, hang tight. Shockers, TJ, you were there. I don't know. It's a heartbreaker because of the way it ended. It's a heartbreaker because they got it tied up and then gave up the 3 as time expired with 3 seconds left. We'll dig into that moment in a minute, but they shouldn't have been there. They shouldn't have been in that moment. You shouldn't have East Carolina at home pushing you to the limit at the end of a game like that to begin with. Going into it, all things put to the side on where we are with anything, you can't be losing to East Carolina at home late.
It's true. It stings a little bit because, they still want us to try to make a run at the top of that conference. And, you can't keep losing to teams that are worse than you in the conference, basically. And East Carolina is one of those teams. And I think that the thing that's the most frustrating is that East Carolina, a really bad three-point shooting team, they come in, they shoot 50% from three-point line against the Shockers, which we've seen so many teams do. And I don't even think, watching the game, I think that in the past, it's because their perimeter defense has been so bad. I think against East Carolina, you have to game plan that they can't shoot threes, so you let them shoot them. They make them all. They make it 50% of them, whatever it was. It's just got to be so frustrating. And I showed up at halftime of that game. I watched the second half, and honestly, they were losing at halftime. They got down like 12 points, I believe, in that second half, and probably played the most inspired basketball I've seen since they played K-State. Came all the way back at the end of that game, and it was fun watching that team. And it just leaves a sour taste in your mouth at the end there. But I don't want to say it's bad luck, but I mean, your guy off the bench for East Carolina scored 28 points and made 3 3-pointers, and they made 11. And it's the same thing Wyatt just talked about. If it's not one thing, it's another.
Yeah, and it just you just can't do it. They're sitting at the very bottom now, only better than Charlotte, of a conference that's really not very good this year. That's the part that stings. And 3 of the losses of the 4 that you have should not have been, like, you shouldn't lose those games, and especially shouldn't lose those games at home, South Florida, East Carolina. So look, I don't know what to do or say with the Shockers anymore, other than say they're capable of being near the top of the league when the dust settles, but I don't know how to keep saying that when they lose games at home to East Carolina. And at the end of the game, why on earth, and we probably read this differently, but why aren't you putting any pressure on the ball handle? He's got 3 seconds. At least get in his way. Just stand there. I mean, he's got one option, basically, is to get up the floor and chuck a 3. Well, make it a little more difficult to get up the floor.
Yeah.
You can't foul him. I get it. You can't foul him, but you can, you can congest the lane to get there. It's 3 seconds. And he was able to get up and get a great shot off.
I agree. I think that, the other tough part of it as well is I'm sure that whenever you're running through all these scenarios in your head and you do this at practice. And I think that Coach Mills after the game talked about that we run these scenarios through in practice. And I'm sure there was a big point of emphasis to make sure that you're getting back, because they'll probably try for a more high percentage look, throw the full court pass and try to get fouled like we saw KU do against West Virginia there at the end of the game, remember? Or West Virginia, or KU did it against West Virginia. And I think that that's probably what you're coached. And whenever you're playing against a team that can't shoot the 3 ball that much, I get it. It's not instinct, but
it's not a no-brainer. I just 3 seconds, like, get in his way. Like, don't move. Just stand there.
Just a half quarter instead of a 3-pointer.
Yeah, literally just stand there. That was tough to see, but they shouldn't have put themselves in that position to begin with. We'll have more on that later in the week. Shockers don't play till Thursday, so we'll have plenty of time to get to it. All right, if you want to win some HTO, you can do that right now. You can get a free iced tea, a free rain coffee. These are available at either Wichita location or in Derby. It's a text to win contest, and all you have to do to get one of each, use them at different times. One of each, text the keyword T to the short code 20357. That's TEA 20357. You can enter once per day. Message and data rates apply. Good luck, everybody. When we come back, we're all football for a while here on the show. We're going to dig into this Chiefs game. We're going to get into what made the Chiefs look so good, in my opinion, in that game, what they did to disrupt Houston in that game. And then we've got other conference championship games to preview, but we've got to go back through these divisional games. They were all really good. Everybody's having a better day today than Mark Andrews. Like, these games were all great, down to the wire, really good games, TJ. And that's what we get in the divisional round. So we're going to come back. We're going to take a quick break. It's all Brockton Cleveland on a Monday. Don't go away. Chiefs, we're digging way in next on Sports Daily.
"66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust." Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20-plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say,
what is GMFB Overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
83101 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you
and inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20-plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
you have a home construction need, Pepin Suter should be on your list of calls. Let Pepin bid your project. You'll quickly see why they were the choice for our kitchen remodel. A little bit of work in the basement, too. Their work is top-notch, customer service top-notch, and they'll help you every step of the way. You can call Pepin at 316-573-6822 or go to pepinsuter.com. Check out some of their great work, no matter what your home needs are. Give Pepin a call. Take their bid. You won't regret it. Welcome back into Sports Daily. Jacob Albrock, TJ Cleveland here. All right, now we've got time to dig in here to some of the football. We'll get into the Chiefs here, and then we'll get into the other divisional games probably in our next segment. Texans come into Kansas City, and they play well. They play well enough where they probably feel like they had a chance to win the game. But there were some calls, I think, some coaching decisions that you can look back on that really hurt them. And if there was any rust, and I think there could have been for the Chiefs in the first half, by the fourth quarter, it was certainly shaken off. And they were just efficient, TJ, and defensively made a lot of really big plays when they needed to make them. I think you look back at a game and say they'd only, gained 212 yards of offense, and you're like, oh, no. But there were a lot of reasons for that, right? You had the long Texans drives. The Texans probably feel pretty good about the way they played that game, other than some key mistakes, a turnover or two, and some calls to, go for field goals and things like that kind of bit them in the butt a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't turn the ball over at all. They didn't fumble, didn't throw an interception in this game. The thing is whenever you look at the stats, like you said, they outgained them by a lot, but they made it to field goal range twice. One they missed, one got blocked. If they can convert, I think I said they made it to the red zone 3 times. And that's just the Chiefs defense kind of just bending, not breaking, and it paid off because you're going to miss a field goal and block a field goal. That's really going to help the Chiefs' cause. It's unreal. The one thing that I talked about last night is that on our show here, we talked so much about the Houston pass rush and what they could bring and everything like that. And at the end of the day, we're talking about the Chiefs pass rush playing the best. I was trying to dig through game by game, but that's got to be the best that they've done in
at least
years.
Yeah, at least the most impactful, right? They could have had more sacks in the game, but they were all over it. Yeah. Stroud, hurts his knee early in the game. It just wasn't going to come up for Houston. Like, Houston was just not going to win that game, right? They just weren't. I mean, maybe you could say it was that way from the opening kick and Boyd's, fumble, and they thought he shoved his teammate. Like, it was tough. It was tough. And you've got to be able to play kind of perfect against a team like the Chiefs at their place in a spot where Patrick Mahomes has never lost in his career. For them to get back to their 7th, like, you've got to be near perfect. And you had your shot at doing it if you're the Texans. But, the Texans need to feel good about their season. They don't feel good about the loss. They think they could have had the game, but you were down your top receivers. Your quarterback kind of got hurt in the game. Like, you can look at it as the Texans' arrow is still pointed way up. You just can't make mistakes against the Chiefs. And they made mistakes long enough to allow them to sort of wake up and erupt in that game. And I know a lot of people are like, well, you got to cover Travis Kelce. Yeah, in theory you do, but
cover somebody. They got a lot of people out there.
Right. That's what makes the Chiefs so dangerous to me. And why, I liked Kelce there because the receiving room is as healthy as it's been, and it's going to get one-on-ones for Kelce finally for the first time in 2 years. Now, if somebody overcorrects and goes back after Kelce, you're going to see the Chiefs, sort of tee off this next game that they'll play against Buffalo. That's the team that got them the first time. They can protect Mahomes at all. If the left tackle can protect Mahomes at all, it's going to be really hard to beat the Chiefs. Now, the Chiefs will have a bigger test, I think, on their hands stopping Buffalo than they did stopping Houston. That game is going to be incredible. But this is, if you're a Chiefs fan today, like, this is what you've been waiting for. Wouldn't you rather have it now than in week 5, right? Like, you finally get it. They're finally there and healthy now.
It's true. Yeah. The one thing that kind of does scare me about this game is, as you said, the Chiefs are a really hard team to beat, and you have to play near perfect to do it. I think that's what makes the Chiefs so good, is that down the stretch of these games, they've had their flaws, even the regular season. You look at what they did in crunch time. They didn't make mistakes. Like, they turn the ball over 3 times. They'd still have a near perfect into the fourth quarter to end up pulling out a game against the Panthers, whatever it ended up being, because they're so good at doing that. And so that's the one thing about the Buffalo Bills. They're not as talented as they have been in the past. Obviously, they lost Stephon Diggs, but they've still got a lot of talent. Don't get me wrong, but they play the same way as the Chiefs. They won the game last night because they played a clean game, and Baltimore didn't play a clean game. So it really is going to be just two of almost the same style, I think, going against each other. Obviously, the Chiefs can be more pass heavy, but just the fact of how they play football and how little mistakes that they make. It's going to be really interesting. And I think it could be just such minuscule things, like you talked about the left tackle, that could make a difference in this game.
Yeah, it will make a huge difference and we're going to get to the Buffalo game throughout it. The Chiefs get, just about everything they want to see in that game. They get to see it. If there was rust, and look, I think there absolutely might have been rust. There could have been rust early on in the game. The Texans' game plan was solid, right? As far as keeping the Chiefs off the field and doing those things, they just made mistakes. And then look, we got to talk about it because it's what people like to talk about. The Texans feel like some calls didn't go their way. Some of their players talking about it after the game. DeMeco Ryans less so, even though he's being quoted as if he said something about the roughing calls. We can watch them till our face turns, but it doesn't really matter. Rick says they're not bad because Aikman and Buck say so. He was hit in the head of the face both times. He wasn't hit in the head of the face the first time. The second one, you can make that call. That one's not that bad to me. The first one was a miss. Doesn't matter. That's not my point in all of it, is just review them, right? Just review. If you're calling it a hit to the head, you can look at that in 2 seconds. In real time, it looked like they hit him right in the head, but they didn't, right? It was just a good hit. Drew says, I'm glad they don't have perfect refs. We might only have 6 wins. Look, here's what I don't need, and this is what drives me crazy about it. Like, I don't need people running to the defense of the Chiefs. Like, anytime there's a questionable call or something like this in a game, if you pop onto social media, you'll see the army of Chiefs reporters or whoever it is, like, rushing in to defend the Chiefs. And there's bad calls in every game. What do you mean? Like, hang tight here. A bad call is a bad call, and it's okay to call a bad call a bad call. It doesn't make or break a game most of the time. Sometimes it does. It doesn't make or break the game most of the time. It certainly did not in this game, but it is okay to point out bad officiating. Happens all over the NFL, not just in this game, not just on those plays, on plays throughout the game for both teams. It just seems like such an easy fix. I don't understand why the NFL likes this to happen. Just like it's the easiest fix in the world. If you don't want us talking about Jared Goff taking a hit, if you don't want us debating whether or not Matthew Stafford was roughed on the final play of the game, if you don't want, everybody to have memes and jokes for days about Patrick Mahomes and the referees exchanging jerseys after the game, just eliminate the problem. Have a quick review on it. Like, some of these there are subjective calls, and I understand that, but a face mask, in some case, that's not subjective. They either grabbed the face mask or they didn't. And I get it. It's bang, bang. Maybe you missed it. Take a look. Oh, replay review. There was a face mask on that play. We got to back that one up. It would take 5 seconds. Why don't we do that? And listen, the Chiefs don't need you to defend them, Chiefs fans. Like, let's not be crazy here. Like, we're just talking about a game. Like, we can all be grown-ups and have a discussion about things. Like, I hate that. Like, people are like, oh, you can't believe you're saying that. I can't believe you're saying that. But what do you mean? There are bad calls in every game. You're right, there are. And we talk about them all the time.
Yeah. I obviously, there's the stat as well, probably from one of the Chiefs army, that puts the numbers of penalty yards the Chiefs have racked up. And it's more than like the league average because of the calls going against the Chiefs. And everybody brings up that stat as well. So, you could cherry pick whatever. It's because the Chiefs are good. You can watch every game is going to have bad calls in favor and against you as well. But I think that whenever it happens to the Kansas City Chiefs, everybody wants a reason to not like the Chiefs now. And I think that every single thing that they can find at that point. And these, as you said, it has no impact on the game. It moved them back 15 yards, and I think they still, I don't even know if they score on the drives that it happened on.
Yeah, it has an impact in the moment. It's fine, but you deal with that throughout a game all the time. Like, it's not, the outcome of the game is not determined because of one call. Again, most of the time in any particular place, unless it's like, what was it, the Vikings where Sam Darnold, like somebody jerked his head off by the face mask on the last play of the game or whatever. Like there are some times where it does help determine the outcome, but most of the time it's not. You deal with those sorts of things in and with throughout every single game that you play. I just don't like that, like both sides of it. Like we can talk about a bad call. You've got to understand that everybody's going to put a magnifying glass on the Chiefs. If you're a Chiefs fan, like understand, it's the same thing the Patriots used to get. The haters come out in full force. People are sick of the Chiefs outside of this part of the country. So just expect it. They don't need you to run to defend them. It doesn't matter. Like they don't need your help. It's okay. It's all right that everybody's jealous of what the Chiefs have because they are. And I think they're going to repeat. TJ, I think they're going to win a third straight. I've thought it all year. I think it again. I think it now. I think the Bills are really good, and I think it's going to be a good matchup for them. If they can get through the Bills, it will be, I think, a matchup that favors them either way in the NFC. The Bills game is going to be tough. That will be that is going to be such a good game. God, can we, like every year it seems like you get the Bills and the Chiefs in the regular season and the Bills beat them and then they rematch in the postseason and the Chiefs are a 1.5 point favorite. And that's the game Josh Allen can't ever get Patrick Mahomes. It's just so storybook. Like that's where you get the conspiracy. If you want to be a conspiracy theorist, think about how storybook this is again this year. We'll get into Bills Ravens, but man, we're getting Mahomes Allen again. I don't know how Bills fans are going to survive this. If the Chiefs beat again. I really don't.
Somebody talked about that. I saw as soon as the game ended, somebody posted that it's like, can you imagine being a Bills fan right now? Like, you've got to hate the Chiefs so much. Like,
with every fiber of your being.
Absolutely. Like, you can talk about any rivalry that you want to in any single sport. And you know, this has grown to they're not even in the same division and they play each other 2 or 3 times a year, it feels like. And they just can never get them at the right time. And it's got to be infuriating because you've got probably the guy that's going to win the MVP on your team. You've got James Cook on your team. You've got Von Miller. They could go get a Brinks truck full of all-stars, and they'd find a way to lose the Chiefs in playoffs.
It's so funny, too, because and it's like it's almost never because of Josh Allen, right? Josh Allen's usually good in the games. It's like you beat him in the regular season if you're the Bills, and if you're a fan, you're like, that meant nothing. Yep. That means nothing. Like, great, I'm happy. But we're going to go and play him again in the postseason. It's wild, wild stuff. If you haven't looked at what's happened between these two teams, it's crazy. It's every year, and I'm going to pull these up here. Mahomes against Josh Allen. It is just wild, wild stuff. Allen is 4-1 against Mahomes in the regular season, TJ, and 0-3 in the playoffs. And they play in the regular season. And Allen wins, and they play in the postseason, and Mahomes wins, and it's crazy. It's wild stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it really is unbelievable. You know, everybody talks about, too, you know, the NFC. I was trying to think back to, like, the NFC championships that we've seen, and I don't think that we've had, like, a repeat game in at least a couple of years. I didn't dig back that far, but we've had Chiefs, Bills, Chiefs, Bengals, Chiefs, Ravens. Feels like every year the last decade almost.
Look, this isn't new. Like, this happens all the time. We were just talking about the Cowboys, the last team that really had this good a shot. They played the 49ers and the Packers, I think, every year in the playoffs. And then the Bills in the Super Bowl a couple of times. So it's not new. But the Chiefs get it done. They look great. Boy, they look great in the fourth quarter, too. Let's go to the other divisional games when we come back on Sports Daily. Don't go away. So much to get through on this Monday. It's all Brockton, Cleveland. We're coming right back.
This is 97.5 and 1240 KFH, Wichita, K248CY, Wichita, KNS.
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Is the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say,
What is GMFB overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of... It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now. 83101 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH. This is Sports Daily with Jacob Albrecht and Tommy Kester.
Welcome back in for another hour of Sports Daily. Are you on your way into work? Want to keep listening to Sports Daily even after you park the car? With the Odyssey app and Odyssey.com, you can. Just download the app. Visit Odyssey.com, search for KFH, and you can get started today. Just look for us on Sports Daily. We throw the podcast up every day. If you missed anything, if you jump in halfway through and want to hear what we were talking about, you can do that. We talk college hoops there in the last hour. A lot about the Chiefs there in the last hour. You can catch any of that. We're going to make our way through the other divisional NFL stuff. We're going to have a little Royals talk with Jaylon Thompson, our Royals insider, this segment, and we'll get you a light preview of tonight's national championship game as well. Jake Ballbrock, TJ Cleveland in for Tommy Kester here. TJ, it was a great weekend of football all the way around, not just if you're a Chiefs fan, but if you're a football fan. You were rewarded with 4 really, really good games. The Chiefs was the widest margin. That's not true. The Commanders ended up with the widest margin because of some things that happened late in the game. But you got 4 really entertaining, good games. I believe I picked them all correctly, so that was good. It's a good betting weekend. Did you have any skin in the game this weekend?
I did not. I'm just trying to beat Paul in our Friday picks, and it's not turning out that way. I think that all of the different games that we had from each other, I'm about to be 0 for 3 probably. So
yeah, that's not
a good finish. How many more weeks are we going, by the way?
We'll go through the Super Bowl. We'll go through the Super Bowl.
I got a chance. We got
a small chance because you're running out of games to pick.
I'm going to just have to fade him every single week.
We got 3 games to pick. I guess 2 games to pick next week, and then 1 game to pick after. We have 3 total picks remaining, so it's going to be tough.
Got to be perfect, basically.
It's going to be tough. So let's go to the NFC because I want to get Ravens Bills a little more time on that one because that obviously features the team the Chiefs will play next. But let's talk about the 2 NFC games here in this segment. The first one played was the Commanders and the Lions. A pretty easy story to tell, honestly. And that the Lions turned the ball over too much. 3 interceptions from Jared Goff. Can't do that. Jahmyr Gibbs was incredible. Amon-Ra St. Brown was incredible. The stars came out for the Lions, and they made too many mistakes. And it was the rookie passer who was clean, who didn't make any mistakes. And the Commanders are very for real. It's funny that we even have to go through that. The Commanders won 12 games, right? Like this shouldn't be a surprise to anybody that the Commanders are doing this. They've got a great quarterback, and they won 12 games this year. Now they go play Philadelphia. But when we look at that game particularly, like Jaden Daniels, it's so funny because we've seen these basically first seasons for quarterbacks like we've never seen before. We'd seen Justin Herbert have a rookie year like we'd never seen before. And then last year we had C.J. Stroud have a rookie season like we've never seen before. Now this year, Jaden Daniels has a rookie season. I love that this is happening. I think it's great, great, great stuff for the NFL. This is a quarterback league that was a quarterback divisional round and a quarterback here who is playing football very early in his career, looks like a 10-year veteran out there in the way that he plays and the decisions that he makes.
Yeah, I think that you said it there about the turnovers that the Detroit Lions had, but I think in the same breath, Washington scored 45 points. I think that it's kind of unfair to think.
Sure.
I mean, they blew their chance to win this game because of the turnovers, absolutely. But the fact that Detroit let Washington score 45 points, you look at Jaden Daniels threw for 299 yards, not 300,
right.
2 touchdowns. Their offense is an offense that beat really good teams in the regular season, and they've beat really good teams in the postseason. I assume that I think it's like a touchdown favorite in way of the Eagles, I believe, in the NFC Championship is what it was looking like. I don't know if that's the same thing or not, but they're not going to be favored in any game that they've played in the playoffs, and they're not going to be the rest of the way either. So it's a wild story. I can't remember in recent history a team that's done that, except maybe the Kansas City Chiefs last year did it all on the road, but that's not the same thing at all. No. So I don't know the last time there was a story like this in the playoffs. I can't remember back.
Well, again, they won 12 games, right?
Exactly.
The Rams would have been the story of like, oh wow, that's really surprising. We'll get to that game, but they won 12 games. They split with the Eagles, by the way, in the regular season. They each won their home game. They play. Let's go to the Lions for a second. This sucks for the Lions. You're devastated. I feel there are 2 things I just feel like sick to my stomach for. like that's, the sports, like, oh man, that's such a bummer. It's Mark Andrews and it's the entire Lions organization, fan base, everybody involved. The problem for the Lions, yeah, they turned the ball over and they could have won that game, but man, they have so many injuries defensively that it never felt like they were, they were the 1 seed, they got there, they did all these things, they didn't, but man, their defense was just not what we typically see defenses at this point of the season be. And it's a lot of injuries contributing to that. That sucks though, to have that kind of season, to get to that point and to let, Bills fans are like, yo, we've been here too. We know what that feels like, Lions fans. I think the Lions, there's no reason they can't get back there. They're going to have to get better defensively. Part of that will be just because of health. They will. But the Commanders have an arrow pointed upward, and they're doing a great job. I love Dan Quinn on the other side of that. Like, of things you feel good about, how do you not feel good about a Dan Quinn, Cliff Kingsbury coaching staff? 2 redemption stories married together that way. Dan Quinn never gets enough respect for the job he did in Atlanta, and Cliff Kingsbury may not be the best head coach, but he's one of the best offensive minds we've seen. It's very smart of Dan Quinn to get him in there with Jaden Daniels, who has all the tools. And quite frankly, and Jaden Daniels, like, for me, Tommy was a huge Jaden Daniels guy. Said, had him over Caleb Williams the whole time. I still had Caleb Williams. And really the only reason is Jaden Daniels' slight frame. Is he going to be able to hold up if he runs a lot? And he has. He looks a lot like Lamar Jackson looks, in the way that, not because they play similarly stylistically, they do to some degree, but it's because he knows how to protect himself the way Lamar has always been able to sort of protect himself for somebody that runs as much as he does. It's not chaotic, right? He's not going to, like Cam Newton, try and bowl people over. Like, he's smart about it. Everything Williams is smart. Like, he makes smart decisions constantly, and we just don't usually see that from rookies.
Yeah, it really, I was about to ask you that question before you started talking about it. I had no way to think that Jaden Daniels was going to be a rookie that has the season that he has to lead his team to an NFC Championship. Caleb Williams was the guy. He was number 1. I didn't watch a ton of LSU games last year. I know he won the Heisman and everything like that, but his LSU team, looking back now, was an absurd team. I don't know how they didn't win more games with how everybody's playing in the NFL.
Brian Kelly would like to know that too.
Exactly. But I didn't think he was going to be able to. I thought he's going to be more of a project than a guy that could just plug in and play and take you to an NFC Championship. But I mean, he's been great, and he's awakened something in Terry McLaurin that we haven't seen from him.
We haven't seen from him. Terry McLaurin's so good.
He's great this year. He's better than he's ever been. His fantasy value is out of the freaking world.
Have you looked at who Terry McLaurin's? Just a quick sidebar. Have you ever looked at who he's played with? Like, Terry McLaurin's out. He's an outstanding player. Always has been, with maybe the worst quarterback situation ever. I think does he have? I let me look real quick before I say this. I think he's got 1,000 yards every year of his career.
I'm looking 22. Yep. 21. Yep. Okay. You might be right.
He's a really, really, really good player. Like, really good player that's never had a quarterback like this. And his numbers, this wasn't like it was by touchdowns, but like, he's pretty much on his average, but he is a baller. He's so good. And I'm so glad he got a quarterback, because he's always been so good. They're good. Dan Quinn, they scream Dan Quinn to me, like everything about him. So they'll play Philadelphia. Real quick on the Eagles, who get it done against the Rams. Another one of those, the weather favored the Eagles, let's put it that way. 65 passing yards in the game. Now, Hurts had 128, and they lose some yards in the final stats because of sacks and things like that. But that's a game the Rams are devastated about. You get it, and they had a costly turnover and a Kyron Williams fumble. They had an opportunity late. They had a bad call potentially late. That's, people thought Stafford could have been called on a roughing there toward the end. So they've got all of those things that they're sitting here with today that they feel bummed about. That, unlike like the Lions will be right back. I think the Rams will be, because their defense got so much better, but a lot of their stars are getting older. It's a tough Monday morning for the LA Rams.
Yeah, I agree. Just talking about this game and the way that the Eagles do, I'll talk about what they do well really quick. I brought this point up last night at work is that, you think about if the Chiefs make the Super Bowl, the Eagles were a team that I didn't have a ton of stock in coming into the playoffs. I didn't think they were going to be able to get it done and get back to a Super Bowl. But, we just talked about what the Chiefs and the Bills do so well of knowing their identity. They ran for 285 yards in this game, and that doesn't even seem crazy because of what they've done all year long. The Chiefs defense is really good, but against Saquon Barkley, he can make anybody look pretty silly, especially the new Saquon Barkley, I guess, since you talk about, a resurgence in your career. Not that he's ever bad, but, his average is off the rails right now. So the Eagles are a team that I'm pretty scared of playing, especially now that, they're playing the Commanders. Who knows what that is going to turn out to be. But, it feels a much different Eagles team than we saw in Super Bowl 57.
It does. And they don't make mistakes for sure. That was a game situation that went right to their favor. There's no doubt about it. And they took advantage. We'll talk about the other game, Ravens-Bills, when we return, and maybe a little bit more on those others. Quick segment here off the top. We're coming right back. It's all Brockton, Cleveland. We're having fun on a Monday. Stick with us.
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Is the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
What is GMFB overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of... It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now. 310-1 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issue a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
The winter season revving up for Crestview Country Club. They have all the events kicking in. They are retooling and reloading, and coming up this week, their big welcome back casino night. There's a prime rib night in the next handful of days, a wine tasting, and then February's chock full of family events while we all wait to come out of the deep freeze. So give Crestview a call. It's a good time to give them a call if you've ever thought about it, because this is a potential time of year to see if there's any special offers. We love it. Tommy and I are both out there. We'd love to see you out there. We appreciate their support. Give them a call. Tell them we sent you, and have some fun with us out there. All right, TJ.
I want to go golfing.
I know. It's golf time. We're going. Tommy and I and another buddy out there. We're gonna hit some balls at the simulator, I think, this weekend. Take out some frustrations on the cold weather, I guess. It was cold in Buffalo. We could see that game. Boy, there's a lot of pardons being handed out apparently this morning. I think Mark Andrews would like to have a pardon from Ravens fans because it's a tough morning to be Mark Andrews. That was bad for a guy that doesn't ever do that. The fumble and then the drop on the 2-point conversion. That's tough. And credit to Lamar Jackson after the game. Of course, he's going to be asked about that, and he quickly pointed to his own 2 turnovers early in the game, his interception and his fumble. Just turnovers in general. Like Baltimore outgained, but it's sort of like the Texans and the Chiefs. Baltimore outgained Buffalo, not 2-1, but 1.5-1, like by a wide margin. I know that Derrick Henry only had 16 carries, but you got to, like, Justice Hill was effective. So you combine those two, and they ran the ball. They ran it, almost 30 times. So it's not the same thing like when they played the Chiefs last year. They were efficient. Lamar, outside of the interception, was pretty good. Josh Allen was effective, good on the ground, had his rushing touchdowns. Buffalo didn't move the ball very well. They're sort of like the Chiefs. I feel like when you watch that game, they've just been there so many times. They know exactly what they need to do to win a game, and that's what they did. And I think Buffalo is better than Baltimore. I know Baltimore's defense has been playing a lot better lately. I feel like watch out for Baltimore next year. That would be what I would say about that. This has very much been a Buffalo, Kansas City year to me, and this is what we have. But a credit to the Bills, they played a very Chiefs-like game to me, TJ. They did exactly what they needed to do. They made all the big plays when they had to have them, and they made it through and won a game against a team who moved the ball more effectively against them.
Yeah, I think that the Baltimore Ravens have been saying look out for next year for the past couple of years. They can't get it done in the playoffs.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we look, everybody's can't get it done because they all have to go through the Chiefs, and the Chiefs are doing this special thing. That's what's unfair to Josh Allen. It's what's unfair to Lamar Jackson. Like, these are great players.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is they have to ultimately go through Kansas City, and nobody's really been able to do that very well, except for Joe Burrow in an instance, and I mean, that's really it. And then Tom Brady, Joe Burrow and Tom Brady have been the only guys who have been able to knock them off basically in the postseason for the last 7 years.
Yeah. But talking about this Bills team, that's what I was kind of saying earlier, is that it's a very Chiefs-like approach to what they do. And the Chiefs used to not do that back whenever they were trying to, throw for 500 yards every single game and try to win shootouts. They play the Spagnuolo game where they're going to do just enough. They're going to have their defense kind of ride the defense and then slow everything down. The Bills didn't even get to 300 yards yesterday, I believe. And they don't have to. And I honestly, that's what I'm so intrigued about this AFC Championship, because both of these teams play the exact same way. I told people that I would, if I'm the Chiefs, I would have rather played Baltimore, because while Baltimore has played out of their minds, and they've done it multiple times because they're so talented at what they do, they also kind of make some silly mistakes. And that's what happened last night. And that's the reason that the Bills won that game. They played like the Chiefs do, and they let you lose the game yourself almost. So, when you put
100%, that's a part of it. We're going to do what we do, and we're going to wait for you to make the critical mistake. That is absolutely what the Chiefs do. And the Bills are also, like, when we talk about the Chiefs run that they're on right now, Buffalo is the team that gives them the most. And I know there's all the Bengals and the Burrowhead and all that stuff that annoys people. And it's, they got them one time. Buffalo consistently plays Kansas City well. Like, when you look at the circumstances in the postseason and when the Chiefs have been able to get through them, like, you're talking razor thin margins. Like, this is the anti-Chiefs team that just can't get them in the postseason, but that has been consistently the best against them. Buffalo is so good. And, I like the Chiefs on Sunday, just, at the surface level, just FYI. But Buffalo is so good at what they do, and they're so bought into what they do this year. I think more than anything else, when you look at their team this year, they're just so bought in top to bottom to what it is that they need to do within a game. And, Rick says, back to the bad calls game, there was a bad call in that game, the defensive PI. It was, I agree. I thought it was offensive pass interference. I thought it was probably a no call at best, but to the point of, like, should referees be allowed to, to look at pass interference? The problem with those is they're subjective. When you're saying, like, a face mask, or where there was a face mask penalty at some point this weekend that wasn't called, that was a big one, or a hit to the head. Like, those are the things you can go back and look. Was there a face mask? Did somebody get hit in the head? Right? Mahomes' second one, for instance, when they called roughing, you couldn't look at that one anyway. And that one probably should have been called. I mean, he ducked under the hip, but they were going to smash him if he didn't. Like, that's, that one was fine. So no, you can't really go back and look at pass interference. But again, that's not a play that decides the game. It's just a play that if you're the other team and you're on the wrong side of it, you're like, man, that sucks that went, that we have to even think about that play. It was a game of those kinds of plays, though, little bitty plays. Mark Andrews catches a 2-point conversion in the end zone. Did the Bills win that game? You get into an overtime situation with Derrick Henry involved? When Derrick Henry had finally, battered down the Buffalo defense enough where they couldn't really stop him? I mean, I feel so bad for Mark Andrews, but he's a fumble and that drop away from the Ravens headed into Arrowhead. And I got to be honest with you. I like the Chiefs better against Buffalo than I do against the Ravens. Like, I think the Chiefs got the better end of the outcome of that game. Not because they don't play against Baltimore any better or worse or anything else. I just think the matchup is better for the Chiefs this year to play Buffalo than it is to play Baltimore, because the Chiefs have struggled against tight ends throughout the year at different points. Baltimore's got 2 good ones. They do have Derrick Henry now. Buffalo wants to run the ball too. The Chiefs stop the run. But Derrick Henry's a different animal, and he's had a history of getting to the Chiefs over the years. Lamar can take off if you're going to blitz him. Josh Allen can run too, but nobody runs like Lamar. So I think the Chiefs are better off for this outcome. And I know the Bills beat them in the regular season and the Ravens did and all that stuff. But the way both teams are playing right now, I think the Ravens would have presented a worse matchup, especially in the weather that they're likely going to be playing in, which looks just cold but fine. Yep. I think the Chiefs I think that's good for the Chiefs. I do.
I don't know. I think there's 2 sides of it as well. I definitely agree with what you're saying. I think that whenever you match up against the team that has Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry and Mark Andrews, all the stars that they have, the Ravens are an unpredictable team. I think that's the biggest
thing.
They
are.
You saw a touchdown from Lamar there. Nobody knew what he was doing. Lamar didn't know what he was doing and found a way to score 6 off of that play. So I think that, you do make a good point that the Chiefs have a more maybe predictable team that they're going to play against. I don't want to say predictable, but why they win games. It's the reasons that we just talked about. The Ravens pull games out. Like, they somehow win games. The Bills win games because they do what they do so well. So I think
not lately though with Baltimore. Look, Baltimore's defense has been outstanding to finish the year. They've been the top defense in football. Buffalo got them, but that's what worried me about them. Like, the whole way through, when we got to the postseason, I'm like, Baltimore, remember when Baltimore had the worst defense in football? Well, now they've got one of the best. And that's when I started to get really nervous about the Ravens. Like, ooh, and they feature tight ends, which isn't always the best matchup for the Chiefs. Like, yikes, that could be a bad matchup. Not that Buffalo's a great matchup. They're not. I mean, it's Josh Allen, right? But where it's Josh Allen or it's that Ravens offense kind of in total, I'm happy for the Chiefs that they're playing Buffalo. Does that mean they're going to beat Buffalo? It's a 1.5 point spread for a reason. It's Josh Allen. He's really good. Their defense is also getting a lot healthier. What about the legacy on this game? Because this is where it gets really challenging for me. Like, Lamar is going to be, playoff Lamar and all these things. And he had that interception. I thought Tony Romo did a great job helping us understand what happened on that play. That was good old school Romo analysis from a quarterback's perspective of Lamar made that throw because he couldn't see the safety because of the blitz and this very specific thing the defender did in his pressure and the quick pressure that Lamar didn't have a chance to see the safety. Bad decision, but at least you understand why. And really, outside of that, and the silly couldn't hold on to the ball on that fumble play on the bad snap, Lamar played really well. And he's going to come out of this, and the dust is going to settle, and it'll be like, playoff Lamar. And it's fine. It's fair. It's totally fair. He had 2 critical turnovers in the game. But, man, after the season he had, for that to be what we remember on this season, this is why we shouldn't vote for the MVP before the season's over. There you go, Josh Allen people. Even though Josh Allen didn't have a great game, he got the win there. And B, Saquon Barkley probably deserves a seat at the table for that MVP conversation. But again, as we make our way through, like, what do you remember more about this? The fact that Lamar had maybe the best season a quarterback in totality has ever had in the history of this sport, or the fact that he turned the ball over twice in a postseason game and the Ravens didn't win again?
I know that's the argument that I find so interesting, especially from the Patrick Mahomes angle, because everybody wants to talk about the GOAT conversation for Patrick Mahomes. If he wins a three-peat, is he going to be the GOAT? In the midst of his three-peat, I guess he won one in 22, but he didn't win the MVP last year. He's not going to win it this year. Where does the regular season come into this debate? Do we go only off of Super Bowls? If Lamar wins,
it's a regular season award. It's a regular season award.
I agree. But I think when you talk about the legacy of what we're talking about here, if Lamar wins an MVP every single year and never wins a Super Bowl, is Patrick Mahomes the GOAT with 4 Super Bowl rings, or is Lamar the GOAT with 7 MVPs? It's such an interesting thing, and I know that you talk about voting.
It's Mahomes. It's Brady because of the fact that he did it for 20 years. Yeah. If when you talk about GOAT, like when you're talking about all of it, I think you have to look at a career in totality. That's what makes Tom Brady the GOAT. is that he did it for 20 years in 2 different stretches with the Patriots, almost never the same team, and then did it again with the Buccaneers. Like that's GOAT stuff. If Mahomes plays for 20 years, gets through this run, all these guys he's been with forever retire, then they come back and they do it again, that's where he passes Brady in the GOAT, whatever GOAT means. I think that's career in totality. If you're talking about like most gifted quarterback that's ever played, well, that's not going to be Tom Brady anyway, right? That's where you're getting into maybe Marino, but he didn't have the championships. That's where Mahomes comes in. That's where a guy like Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson can come in. But the championship thing is what the GOAT's all about. And yes, if Mahomes gets 3 straight and that's not the end of his career, he's ultimately going to be the GOAT. I always just say this, whatever the sport is. Like if we started a draft right now and you were starting from scratch and you had them all in their prime, what quarterback would you take?
I'd take Patrick Mahomes.
I would too. And I think that's what, nobody's going to say Tom Brady. Tom Brady probably wouldn't be in the top 5 of people doing that. So whatever that that's not necessarily GOAT, whatever that is, that's where Mahomes is at the top, right? Like who you taking in their prime, you got to build a team around him. Who's it going to be? And that's where I think you make your calls. I got to see what's around him with Brady, right? And he's had some, but he's the GOAT. He's the GOAT because of championships. He's the GOAT because of longevity. And we'll see if Mahomes gets there. Mahomes is about to do, or take a shot, I should say, at doing something nobody ever has done, ever. And here's the scariest thing for everybody else. All the fans, all the haters that are talking about, calls, deciding games, and sharing the funny memes. If the Chiefs win it this year, what if Travis Kelce doesn't retire? And what if Chris Jones plays 5 more years? And what if Andy Reid doesn't retire? Patrick Mahomes isn't going anywhere. Like, I do think there's some sense from people like, oh, the Chiefs, if they get it done this year, okay, and that'll be it. Well, who's to say they're not going to be the favorite to win 4 straight or 5 straight? That's where the rest of the football world must be so frustrated right now. Like, Patrick Mahomes is like in his prime right now, and they're finally loading up offensively in some sort of rebuilding years here. Like, what? Like, who's to say? So, we'll get to all that stuff as it happens. They still got to beat the Bills on Sunday, and that's going to be a tall task. I do like them in that game.
Yeah. I do. The main point I'm trying to make here with the whole argument is that, you think whenever you think about the legacy, when all is said and done and everything like that, the championships are going to be the biggest thing, but it almost, I don't want to say it scares me, but in 20 years we're going to be talking about quarterback debates and be like, well, Mahomes only did this, but it's like, yeah, but he's a winner. Like it's the same way we talk about like Michael Jordan and stuff.
Mahomes
like that.
also
he's a winner.
Yeah, Mahomes
but
also has the stats too.
He does,
and Brady got him late. Should be fair. Brady got him late too. Like he had his Moss year, and he had those years where he threw for 4,000 yards and 50 touchdowns, all those things. With Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, they happen to be playing with Mahomes, man, and Brady. The other year Mahomes didn't win one of their careers was Brady's. Like the two, however you stack them now, the two GOATs happen to be, they crossed over and they basically won every championship for a while. Other than one, Matt Stafford got it, another Hall of Fame quarterback. How long did it take Matt Stafford to get there? I go back to my original point as we watch football in the NFL, with the exception of Joe Flacco, Trent Dilfer, and Brad Johnson. In the last 30 years, you basically have to have a Hall of Fame quarterback to win a Super Bowl. Yep. Go look. Whether you think Stafford and Russell Wilson are Hall of Famers, and I ultimately think they either will be very close or both will be, like that's the criteria in the NFL. You got to have a Hall of Famer to win a Super Bowl. You have to. Now, in the NFC, they're going to take a shot with 2 players, one of whom, Jalen Hurts didn't go into the Hall of Fame, is Jaden Daniels. I mean, he's got a rookie year that puts him on that trajectory, so we'll see how that plays out if one of them are able to win it. But that's the history of the NFL. Like, it's Hall of Fame quarterback or bust, essentially. Like, you got 92% of the time or whatever it is in the last 30 years. That's the criteria.
would you see the other side of the coin that they're Hall of Famers because they won the Super Bowl? Is Matt Stafford a Hall of Famer if he doesn't win that Super Bowl?
By his numbers, absolutely he is. It's not even a debate. Russell Wilson's the better question, but Russell Wilson's numbers, if you go look at them, he's going to stack up too. He was so good, or he's old now, but yes, Stafford is a Hall of Famer. Wilson with the 2 Super Bowl. Yeah, probably. He hadn't helped himself late in his career, I don't think, but early in his career, that dude was incredible. All right, we'll come back. We got Jaylon Thompson, little Royals talk for you next.
97.5 and 1240 KFH.
And our
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood, written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
What is GMFB overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now. A310-01 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
All right, welcome back in, everybody, to Sports Daily. Glad to have you with us here on KFH. We are joined now by our Royals insider, Jaylon Thompson, KC Star beat reporter for the Royals. Jaylon, how are you?
I'm doing good, Jacob. How are you doing?
We're good. We're good. And this football crazy weekend coming into a Monday, there have been a lot of, a lot of headlines for Major League Baseball, most of them made by the Dodgers. We'll take that for what it's worth. But there's some other stuff happening too. We'll spend some time today maybe looking at players we don't really know about yet. And we'll start with sort of the news item, and that's since the last time we talked, that's the international free agency period. The Royals get a couple of notable ones, including Baseball America's number 7 ranked international prospect. But what do we take away from these kinds of lists, and how are you hearing evaluations on what the Royals were able to do there?
Exactly. You're looking for upside. You're looking for players that could become the next Salvador Perez, someone that, you sign out of an international signing period that can come through the system and hopefully be an impact player for your team down the line, maybe 4 or 5 years down the road. So these type of signings are always important because you want to build out the depth of your organization. And along the way, if you can have someone that becomes that star that can help impact your team, that's always a great step for you as a team, as an organization, as you continue to just build out for the future. So when you look at some of these deals, it's too early to tell if guys are going to pan out, but with a lot of the metrics and the skill sets that a lot of these players that the Royals signed in this international signing period have, I think that it would be good for them to potentially act on that. We're talking about 17, 18-year-olds. So we really don't know until they turn about 21, 22, 23, like what they could be. So this is always good just to see the type of talent that's out there.
Yeah, Jaylon, talking about some major league free agents, the way that the MLB offseason works is this is like an 8-month free agency or whatever it ends up being. Jacob brought up Dodgers make another signing. The way in the baseball world, big market versus small market. What moves can the Royals make with these big market moves that like Dodgers and Yankees and Mets and all these guys make? What role do the Royals fit in all this?
Yeah, TJ, I think it comes down to what the market will be in the next couple of weeks, because there are certainly a lot of guys that are still out there that are going to need homes, like Alec Bregmans and the Anthony Santanders and guys of that like. And early in the offseason, you see those names and you're like, oh, they're going to get long-term deals. They're going to sign for years upon years and make a whole bunch of money. Now we're talking about spring training is right around the corner. So some of those guys decide they want to sign a shorter term deal and try to test their luck next year on the market? So if that's the case, then that brings small market teams like the Royals back into play, because now you're talking about if you can maybe spend for 1 year, get someone that can help impact your team, and then you have a whole year to convince them either to re-sign for a longer period or continue to on with their career. I think Michael Wacha is a great example of that from last year. He signed a 1 year deal, plus he had a player option for the next year. And he decided to exercise his player option to opt out, and he just re-signed with the team again. So I think something like that could happen for the Royals. But like I said, it just depends on what a player wants to do and how they view themselves on the market.
Jaylon Thompson joining us, KC Star at Jaylon Thompson on X. Find all the work at the KC Star. So we've got the economics of baseball in play. It's very obvious for everybody to see that some teams have massive advantages in baseball. Doesn't always lead to championships. We know that too. One place the Royals can get better is through, their minor league system.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think has the best chance of being impactful out of the minor leagues this year? Guys that we haven't really seen get the opportunity yet, or maybe even guys who've only had a small opportunity. Which players are you looking for this year to actually make an impact on the big league roster?
There's one guy that I really think could be impactful, but he has to be consistent. It's Nelson Velasquez. Because if you looked at what he kind of did playing in winter ball, he went on a home run binge last week or so where he had like 4 or 5 home runs in like succession in certain games that he was playing out there. So he's someone, when he came to the Royals in 2023, he went off and he had like 9 home runs when he came over from the Chicago Cubs. I think that if the Royals look for power, they want power in their lineup. I think that if they can't find it on the open market, well, Nelson Velasquez has a good spring training, he makes the team, then you have power right there that you can add to your reserves, whether that's a bench role or a platoon situation. There's a reason why they picked him up off from a trade from the Cubs in 2023. So if he can show that consistent power, that's something that you could use that you don't have to go and trade for or sign or anything like that. Another player I want to see is Nick Lofton. I think Nick Lofton is someone that has a lot of great bat-to-ball skills, someone that can hit for average, someone that can get on base and plays good defense. I just think that he hasn't really had the opportunity to show it at the full level. The Royals kind of put him up for a little bit, and then they sent him down when they added more pieces because they were trying to win. So they have a lot of guys in AAA. Last year's timeline just pushed everything up. So now these guys that are coming back to spring training this year, they have to really show, do they deserve a spot on the bench as a reserve, or do they still need more seasoning in the minor league level?
Yeah, Jaylon, you think back to early this offseason, the Brady Singer trade. If you're in, JJ's spot right now, even if you just look up KC Royals news, you're going to see rumblings of all these guys that they could trade for and everybody's ideas of everything. Do you explore any of that, or do you roll with the group that you have? If there's anybody with trade value, is there anybody that you think we could see?
I think you do have to explore it. I know talking with JJ Piccolo a couple weeks ago, he was saying, yeah, we're continuing to look at all options and, deciding what we want to do. They still want to add that bat to the middle of the lineup. So I think you do have to continue to explore those things because you're never really done building your team. You can always find a way to get an advantage on any point or any type of situation. I know we mentioned last time, but you look at spring training last year, they had John Schreiber come in to help the bullpen, and he wasn't on anyone's radar, but they just made a trade for him. They picked him up, and then he was a key part of the team down the stretch. So I think you just continue to look and continue to see who can you find in the right situation at the right time to fill out a roster spot for you and get better. And I think that's what the Royals are going to do.
Jaylon, we appreciate it. We're so close to pitchers and catchers and doing all that thing while we're sitting here watching football and college basketball. Yeah. All of these things, you're going to keep us surprised. We're going to watch these prospects. We're going to keep an eye on all these players, and we're going to do it with you through the KC Star. We appreciate you being here. Happy Reaction Monday to you, and we'll talk again next week.
Yeah, I can't wait. Thank you guys so much for having me.
There goes Jaylon Thompson again, at Jaylon Thompson on X, all his work at the KC Star. It is sort of that TJ, it's that time for the Royals where we're just sort of eagerly waiting. And I do think you guys both, Jaylon brought up a good point. Like, this is a time to make shrewd moves. If you're this is where you go and you find your shrewd moves to make the team better while others are making the headline splashes. The Royals aren't going to be in on any headline splashes. That doesn't mean there aren't good players out there.
Yeah, it's such an interesting spot for the Royals, thinking back to, the 2014 year. It was kind of like just kind of building towards it. And then 2014, you sneak in the playoffs and go all the way to the World Series. And then by the time you got to 2015, you were a World Series team. You didn't have to do that much. These Royals, they found some success last year in what they did. And it's kind of, you don't think that they're a good enough team to quite make that kind of run. So you kind of have to do something of what that's going to be. They've done quite a bit already, but it's a playoff team. It's just a matter of how you can get to that next step of being a playoff team.
I agree. I think they're there. I think they'll absolutely contend and be in the mix for it. All right, let's talk real quick before we go about the College Football National Championship tonight. We've got Ohio State. We've got Notre Dame. Notre Dame is an 8.5-point dog tonight. Pride alone and a childhood love of Notre Dame that's not quite there like it used to be, but it's still there. And I don't like Ohio State. Has me pulling for the Irish tonight. My brain tells me they should be more than an 8.5-point underdog. I think they could be in real trouble here tonight in a sport that features lopsided national championship games all the time. I'm afraid of that tonight, quite frankly. But hey, let's go Irish. Can you control the ball and make Will Howard, I guess, make a couple of mistakes here? It's going to take a lot, I think, for Notre Dame to be able to win this game.
Yeah, there's a reason that Ohio State's so good. Everybody talks about the payroll of the NIL and everybody that they went out and got. And this is a team that, they kind of added Caleb Downs and Will Howard and a couple of star freshmen and everything like that, like Jeremiah Smith. So they've made a good team last year, just that much better with just the little things that they've done. They're favored by 8.5 for a reason. This is the best team in college football. They've slipped up a couple of times, but they've looked really good the last month.
Yeah, they have. And this is why this format is better. It's better because the two teams that are in this championship game would not have been there otherwise. They both, had some losses that are head scratchers. But the goal of a season is to find the best team. That is the goal of the season, is to find the best team. And all season, most of the season, the collective has thought that Ohio State was probably the most talented team. And at times they've played like the best team. And they may be the best team. And we need to be able to call them that at the end of the year. We'll find out. Notre Dame, same kind of story. Notre Dame hasn't looked as impressive at times as Ohio State has this year, but they've won all their games except for one blunder early in the year. And they've earned their right back to this place. I'm so happy we have that tonight. I am. This is the way it should be. We shouldn't be guessing at who the best team was. And it doesn't always happen that way. There are a lot of years where it's pretty dang clear all the way through wire to wire who the best team is. This wasn't one of those years, right? And if it was, there was a delay and we got to fix that in the games and how long it took them to play. But here's the championship game. It's got great storylines. I just hope it's close. I just hope it's close.
Yeah, one thing I want to ask you, just to localize this a little bit, because if Will Howard wins a national championship, every K-State fan is going to be like, we let a national championship.
No, not every K-State fan.
A lot of them are going to do it because they're going to overreact about this.
No.
Let's just talk about the situation, okay? Will Howard, if he was still on K-State, they might win one more game.
Yeah, I correct. That's accurate. Will Howard never had. So it's the perfect scenario for why I like the NIL, why I like the transfer portal. I hope it gets under control. Don't misunderstand. It's a little too chaotic for me. But at the end of the day, you had a situation where K-State had to move on to Avery Johnson. Will Howard is like a quadruple A player, we think, right? Who's got an opportunity to go somewhere with better weapons than he's ever had, to be put in a position just through the roster to do something, A, that he can get paid for, but B, there won't have been anything else Will Howard could have done that positions him better for NFL scouts than to say, hey, look what I can do with all these NFL caliber receivers, right, and players. So he did that. Yeah, I'm with you about one more game. Avery Johnson doesn't hurt his hip. They win one or two more games, right? There should be no revisionist. K-State fans, I think, for the most part, are just kind of pulling for Will Howard. I don't think most of them that I've talked to don't regret it. All right, we're coming back. More Sports Daily. Stick with us. It's all Brockton, Cleveland on a Monday.
Patterson Legal is the way to go. Call 550